They feared your silence more than your voice, because even when you said nothing, the universe echoed your power. They tried to throw dirt on your name, hoping it would bury you, but they forgot. Seeds grow in dirt. They mocked you, tried to paint you as crazy, fake, irrelevant. Behind closed doors, they gossiped like snakes with broken tongues, hoping their words could rot your light. But now they're choking on the same lies they fed others. Watching you rise is burning their eyes, because you weren't supposed to survive, let alone thrive. Before we go any further, if this message is hitting your spirit, like and subscribe. It helps spread this message to more chosen ones. When you engage, it tells YouTube that more people need to hear this truth. That energy moves, and when you move with it, the universe makes waves. Now, let's talk about what they didn't see coming. You are not like the rest. You never were. The moment you were marked as chosen, a silent war began. Not everyone saw the light in you, but the ones who did. Some wanted to destroy it. What they didn't understand is you were never moving alone. When you walk, the universe walks with you. When you breathe life into timelines. And when you suffer, the universe takes notes. They weren't fighting you. They were fighting the universe that chose you. The energy around you made them uncomfortable. You were a walking storm. Too much truth in your voice. Too much fire in your eyes. They felt small next to you, so they tried to make you doubt your own size. But now, that same fire they tried to dim is lighting your path while burning their masks. Chosen ones, stop doubting yourself. Stop thinking you're alone in this. That voice in your head that tried to tell you you're not worthy, that wasn't your intuition. It was their projection. You're not lost. You're just surrounded by people who were never meant to understand your journey. You were made different on purpose. Your power haunts them. It shows up in their dreams. It makes them flinch when your name pops up. You left a mark on their spirit without even trying. And that's the thing about being chosen. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are. Your energy enters the room before you speak. Your silence carries more truth than their loudest lies. You're not just walking through life, you're rewriting it. And the universe rewards those who stay true to their path, even when it's dark. That's why things are shifting. That's why doors are opening. That's why people you've never met are speaking your name with awe or fear. That's why the ones who laughed are now watching in silence, hoping you don't look back and remember what they did. But here's a reminder. You don't need revenge. You are the storm they tried to avoid. You were chosen to break patterns, to be the mirror they couldn't face, to survive what was meant to break you. So hold your head high, not out of pride, but because the weight of your purpose won't let you slouch. You didn't just make it, you were sent. And now, the universe is collecting every moment they tried to break you and turning it into fuel for your rise. Let them talk. Let them whisper. Legends don't explain themselves. They just become. So before we go any deeper, drop the number 77 in the comments if you felt that shift lately. If you've noticed the whispers, the stares, the strange blessings showing up like magic. This isn't just a video, it's a mirror. And if you're truly chosen, your soul won't let you click away. The energy, it's real. The timing, perfect. The universe brought you here for a reason. This message is a signal, and the ones meant to receive it will feel it in their bones. Now let's break it all down. step by step. If you're chosen, you won't be able to look away. Let's begin. Number 1. When the dust settled, they realized the ghost they were fighting was a legend in the making. They laughed when you struggled. They whispered when you fell. But now, they're choking on the smoke from the fire they tried to put out. They thought you were just another face in the crowd, just another wanderer trying to figure it out. But you were never one of them. You were born different, moved different, felt different. And that difference, it was never weakness. It was warning, a quiet storm gathering power while they mocked the calm. What they didn't know is, when a chosen one gets quiet, it's never defeat, it's alignment. And now that the universe has moved in your favor, they're scrambling to rewrite the story. But it's too late. You are the myth now. The walking reminder that the truth always rises, that the energy they tried to distort has become the very force that shakes their comfort. They thought they were dragging you down, but they were dragging their own fate into the dirt. This is the power of being chosen. It's not just about being gifted, it's about being targeted, being misunderstood, being doubted by the world and still refusing to dim your light. It's walking through fire they lit for you and coming out glowing while they burn in the smoke of their own envy. And yet, some of you still doubt yourselves, still question why it's so hard, why people flip, why energy shifts when you walk into the room. You wonder, am I imagining this? No, you're not. You've been marked since day one, and the universe has been watching every move, every lie told on your name, every fake smile, every door slammed. It was never just life. It was a spiritual chess game. And the universe, it's playing to win through you. So yes, people are talking, loudly. Wild stories, stranger than fiction tales, exaggerations twisted with envy. You're the subject of group chats, midnight conversations, weird energy and sudden silence when you enter the room. People you've never met act like they know your soul. Why? Because you're not just a person anymore. You're a symbol, a disruption, a myth they can't control. You're the legend they tried to erase before it began. And now they're panicking because you didn't break like they thought you would. You didn't fold when the pressure mounted. You didn't lose your mind when the isolation got heavy. Instead, you elevated, quietly, consistently, unapologetically. And while they were laughing, you were becoming the very thing they fear, undeniable. Some people want to see you fall just so they can say they helped push. And you need to remember that. The betrayal you faced wasn't random, it was strategic. The attacks, deliberate. You weren't being punished, you were being revealed. They didn't hate you, they hated the reflection of everything they couldn't be. Your presence forced them to see their own lack. Your light exposed their shadows. And instead of healing, they hated. Instead of learning, they lied. Instead of growing, they gossiped. But that was their choice. And now, the universe is choosing you. The alignment isn't accidental. It's the result of every lonely night you didn't give up, every breakdown you crawled out of, every time you kept your mouth shut when you could have destroyed someone with the truth. That silence, that restraint. The universe took notes, and now it's putting you on full display, not for attention, but for justice. Understand this. When the universe chooses you, it changes the rules of the game. it starts breaking patterns, bending timelines, and flipping karma on its head. That's what they're experiencing now, divine backlash. Not because you wished it, but because they messed with something they didn't understand. They weren't fighting you. They were fighting the system that protects you. The order of energy that balances out lies with truth, cruelty, with consequence. And still, some of you think you're alone, still walking around with your head down like you're waiting for someone to validate your worth. Listen closely. You were the storm they tried to convince themselves wasn't coming. And now that it's here, don't you dare apologize for it. Don't shrink. Don't play small so they can feel big. Don't dull your shine so they don't have to wear shades. Because here's the truth they'll never say out loud. You became everything they claimed you'd never be. Without them, you built from nothing, rose from the silence, glowed through the pain, and now they're watching in disbelief as the universe moves mountains in your favor. That's not luck, that's legacy. And to those still sitting in doubt, thinking maybe the chosen path is too lonely, too painful, too slow, let this be your wake-up call. You weren't called to fit in. You were designed to disrupt. You're not here to make people comfortable. You're here to awaken the ones still asleep, to shift the room just by entering it, to leave fingerprints on souls without even touching them. Be careful who you bury. Some seeds weren't meant to die. You are one of those seeds, buried by betrayal, watered with pain, risen through time. And now that you're blooming, don't look back for the ones who buried you. Look ahead. There's more to come. The whispers? Let them echo. The lies? Let them rot. You? Just keep becoming. You are the myth now, the story they'll tell, the proof that energy never lies, and that legends are never made in comfort. They thought you were finished, but the universe had other plans. Number 2. Your name rings bells in rooms you've never entered. They don't hate you because they know you. They hate you because your energy reminds them of everything they'll never be. There's something about your presence that makes the air feel different. It's not arrogance. It's not even confidence. It's alignment with the universe, with purpose, with truth. And that kind of alignment, it makes people uncomfortable. You walk in and suddenly masks feel tight. Voices tremble. Eyes shift. They can't explain it, but they feel it. And so they start building stories to contain what they'll never understand. Because that's what people do when they can't define something. They label it, twist it, rename it, spread it. They need to reduce what they can't rise to. They try to shrink you down to a rumor, a joke, a fantasy. Anything that makes your power feel manageable. But what they don't realize is that your power was never meant to be understood. It was meant to be respected. This is the part that hits different. Your energy moves before you do. Before you say a word, the room has already adjusted. You've seen it, felt it. People who act weird around you before you've even spoken. Like they've read a script about you written by someone who's never even known you. They don't meet you. They meet your reputation. They meet the echoes of conversations you were never part of. And the wild part? You didn't have to do anything but exist. Just breathing in your truth was enough to stir something in them. That's the thing about being chosen. Your energy is loud, even when you're silent. People claim they've heard things about you, and they have. They've heard your name come up in rooms you've never walked into. They've felt the shift in their stomach when your presence was mentioned. You've become the topic, the question, the threat they didn't see coming. You didn't just enter the story, you became the story. But understand this, legends are never created in comfort. They're forged in misunderstanding, in mystery, in moments where people can't tell if you're a blessing or a warning. You carry both. You carry truth that exposes lies, light that reveals shadows, power that disturbs ego. So, they try to make sense of you before you can even introduce yourself. They decide who you are before you ever speak. Why? Because the moment they looked into your eyes, they saw something ancient, something they couldn't manipulate, something they couldn't fake. You didn't just walk into their life, you shook it. And now the whispers are growing louder, not because you did anything crazy, not because you sought fame or validation, but because your frequency is too strong to ignore. Your spirit is too loud for the background. And your destiny? It's been screaming through your energy since the day you were born. You are the kind of person who shifts people's path just by crossing it. That's why some people are obsessed with you, watching your every move like it's their job. And that's why others avoid you like the plague, because your presence forces them to look at themselves, to feel what they've been suppressing, to realize they've been asleep while you've been rising. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to disrupt. So don't shrink because of the stares. Don't water yourself down so they can digest you easier. You were never made to be easily understood. You were made to be felt. And to the chosen ones who are still wondering why people act weird, switch up, or treat you like a rumor wrapped in flesh, understand this: the universe marked you. And when you're marked, you're monitored, watched, studied, imitated, misunderstood. But above all, you're protected. The truth is, they were never reacting to you. They were reacting to what moves with you, the power that walks before you, the energy that wakes rooms up like thunder cracking in silence. They thought they could predict you, contain you, define you, but you keep proving that you are the exception to their rules. So stand tall. Let your energy do the talking. Let the universe speak on your behalf. You don't owe explanations to people who were never meant to understand you anyway. They don't just see you, they feel you. And once they feel you, they can never forget you. You've become the myth they can't unsee, and the legend they'll never outrun. Number 3. They see the crown, not the blood that paid for it. They think you're lucky, but luck doesn't bleed. And you've bled in silence and still walked like royalty. They swear something's up with you. There's no way they just keep winning. That's what they whisper. They've got something the rest of us don't. And they're right, but not in the way they think. They don't see the cost. They don't see the nights you cried into a pillow that doesn't talk back. They don't see how many times you broke in private and still showed up in public like you had it all together. They only see the glow. They don't see the grind. That's the twisted thing about being chosen. The spotlight finds you, but nobody notices the shadow behind you. All they see is the outcome, the result, the success. They don't know the fight it took just to make it out of bed some days. They don't know how many times you were close to quitting, how many breakdowns came right before the breakthrough. But now that things are moving for you, they want to rewrite your story, make it make sense in their head. It's luck. They must know someone. They probably sold their soul. Funny how people would rather believe in dark magic than believe in your discipline. Funny how they'll credit everything but your grit. Because if they admitted how hard you've worked, how faithfully you've moved in silence, they'd have to look at their own laziness, their own excuses, their own missed shots. That's why they lie on your name. That's why they gossip instead of grind. It's easier to call your blessings unfair than admit you earned them. It's safer to label you supernatural than admit you're just relentless. But let's be real. There is something supernatural about you. Not in the fantasy sense, but in how you refuse to stay down. In how the universe always seems to catch you right before the fall. In how your enemies' plans keep turning into your elevation. That's not just hustle. That's favor. That's alignment. What they don't see is how long you've walked through valleys that would have buried other people. They don't see how many times you've clapped for others while you were starving for support. They don't know what it's like to feel chosen and cursed at the same time, to carry light so powerful it burns you too. They don't see the sacrifice, the solitude, the way the universe dragged you through fire just to forge you. They only see the shine, never the scars. And now that your name is echoing in rooms you've never entered, now that people treat you different without even knowing you, they act surprised, shocked, confused. Why them? But the better question is, why not? Why shouldn't the universe reward someone who kept going when everything screamed stop? That's the truth they'll never speak out loud. You didn't get lucky, you got chosen. And when the universe chooses you, it doesn't always feel like a blessing. At first, it feels like being broken into pieces, stripped of everything fake, and left alone to rebuild in the dark. But when you survive that, the universe backs you publicly for what you endured privately. So let them keep guessing. Let them keep spinning their stories. You're not here to explain yourself to people who couldn't handle your silence, let alone your spotlight. Let them assume it was easy. While they fold under pressure, you've already mastered. Let them think you've got a secret formula, when the real secret was never giving up when nobody was watching. What they don't see is the root. They're obsessed with the fruit. They see the crown now, but they'll never know how heavy it was when it was still made of pressure and pain. And guess what? That's okay. They're not supposed to see it. You didn't go through all that just to prove something to them. You went through it to prove something to yourself. You needed to know that no matter how hard it got, you wouldn't fold. And now that you've been tested and trusted, the universe is moving mountains on your behalf. So when they say, you always win, let them, because they have no idea how many wars you had to fight just to show up looking undefeated. Your name is heavy now. Your presence shifts things. Your silence speaks. And none of it came easy. You earned this. Let them talk. You've got legacy to build. Number 4. Forged in fire, unbound by fate. The quiet whispers of your beginnings have now exploded into a relentless roar. They watch you, not just out of admiration, but out of an insatiable hunger to decode your essence. Whether they stand in awe or seethe with envy, every eye is fixed on your every move. Deep in their hearts, a series of burning questions gnaw at them. What is it that sets you apart? How does your name keep echoing in their halls and screens? And why does every room you enter tremble with the promise of change? The answer, as clear as the morning light, is not hidden behind secret rituals or mysterious formulas. You aren't trying to be legendary, you simply are. Every legend has its storytellers, those who weave your journey into myth. Some do it out of a genuine sense of reverence, while others, driven by jealousy, twist your achievements into cautionary tales. And then, there are those who spin yarns simply because a captivating narrative makes life more colorful. But regardless of their motive, one undeniable truth remains. Your name is now a form of currency, a token of power that everyone wants to spend a little of, even if just for a fleeting taste of your energy. Think about it. Every time your name surfaces in conversation, it brings with it an electric charge. People remember the times they felt a surge of inspiration just by hearing about your exploits. They recall the subtle shifts in the atmosphere when your presence was mentioned, like a distant storm signaling change. Your story has transcended the mundane details of daily life. It's become a force that moves through the collective consciousness, stirring up hope, fear, admiration, and sometimes bitter resentment. Your journey was never meant to be a smooth, scripted performance. It was a tumultuous, raw process of transformation, an alchemy of struggle and triumph that even you sometimes struggle to comprehend. The making of a legend is not an act of vanity, but a natural evolution. You rose from the ashes of challenges that would have broken lesser souls, and in that crucible, you were tempered into something extraordinary. The scars you bear are not marks of defeat. They are the medals of battles fought in silence, the evidence of resilience that even the universe can't ignore. Consider the truth of it. Legends are born from the interplay of light and shadow. Your brilliance casts long shadows that reveal the depths of your journey. Every setback, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt was a necessary ingredient in the recipe of your destiny. And while those who have never faced such trials can only offer hollow explanations, calling it luck, fate, or divine intervention, the real secret lies in your relentless determination. You transformed pain into power, adversity into advantage, and isolation into a catalyst for growth. The more they try to dissect your story, the more elusive the truth becomes. It's not something that can be neatly summarized in a single tweet or captured in a fleeting glance. Your legacy is an ever-expanding tapestry of moments, each woven with threads of perseverance, authenticity, and an unwavering commitment to be true to yourself. And as the tapestry grows, so does the myth around you. People begin to believe that your every move was predestined, that your successes were inevitable, and that you possess an otherworldly magnetism that defies ordinary explanation. They want to know how you do it, how you keep emerging victorious when the odds are stacked so high. They are captivated by the aura of inevitability that surrounds you, the way you step into a challenge, and the universe seems to conspire in your favor. And while they cling to their theories of secret alliances or supernatural luck, the reality is far simpler. You have earned every bit of your success through sheer grit and unwavering belief in your own potential. This is the crux of being legendary. You are not a product of random chance. You are the architect of your own destiny. And as your story is recounted over and over, with each retelling adding layers of grandeur, the world begins to treat you as a force of nature, a phenomenon that cannot be easily contained or dismissed. So, let them talk. Let them speculate on the alchemy that turned your trials into triumphs. Their words, whether they are steeped in envy or admiration, only serve to amplify your power. They are the background noise to the symphony of your ascent. And every time they murmur your name, they inadvertently add fuel to the fire that propels you even higher. In this relentless pursuit of becoming, you have transcended the ordinary. You are the living embodiment of the adage that greatness is not granted, it is earned. And as long as the universe continues to align in your favor, your legend will only grow louder, reverberating across time and space, as a reminder that true power is not bestowed. It is forged in the heart of the storm. Number 5. You became the plot twist in everyone's story. Some praise you, some hate you, but all of them watch, and that's how you know you're chosen. Not everyone is liked, but only legends are never ignored. You didn't ask for this spotlight. You didn't beg for the attention, the praise, the hate, or the endless speculation. But once your energy touched the world, it started something that couldn't be undone. You became a symbol, a signal, a name that no longer belonged to just you. It became a trigger, a talking point, a phenomenon. Your biggest fans, they ride hard. They talk about you like you're a personal inspiration sent from the universe. They defend your name like it's sacred. They pull meaning from the smallest things you do. A look, a phrase, a pause. Suddenly, it's a lesson, a message, a prophecy. And that's not just admiration, that's resonance. That's what happens when your frequency taps into the collective spirit of people who are tired of the fake and starving for the real. You didn't just inspire them, you gave them permission to evolve. To your fans, you're more than a person. You are proof that someone can rise without selling out. That power doesn't always come from privilege, but from pain, purpose, and alignment. To them, you're a walking legend, a mirror reflecting what they could be if they just stopped doubting their own light. You give them hope without even trying. But on the other side of that light is the shadow. And that's where the haters live. The ones who roll their eyes the second your name is mentioned. The ones who can't stand how other people admire you. The ones who call you overrated, fake, lucky. But here's the twist. They're obsessed with you. Quietly, consistently, completely obsessed. They know your every move, your timeline, your latest post, your energy shift. They watch more closely than your biggest fans. They call you a fraud, but study your every step like it's a blueprint. They don't even realize that their hatred is just twisted admiration in disguise. Because to hate someone, you have to feel something, and they feel you deeply. Your existence makes them question theirs. Your wins trigger their insecurities. Your name alone is like salt in a wound they refuse to heal. And still, they talk, loudly, constantly, because silence would mean letting you fade away. And they can't do that, not when your energy is still echoing in their heads. Silence kills a legend. But talk keeps you alive. And then there's the crowd in the middle. The spectators, the ones who don't know where they stand, but they know they can't look away. One day, they're sharing rumors about some massive project you're working on. The next, they're spreading stories that you ghosted, disappeared, or lost it. The truth doesn't matter to them. What matters is that you're interesting. You've become the mystery they can't solve. The story they can't stop telling. Even when they think you're gone, your presence lingers in their conversations like an echo that refuses to fade. You've become the plot twist in everyone's story. And let's be honest, it wasn't by accident. This wasn't about fame. This was alignment. This was what happens when someone walks in their truth without apology, when someone dares to be chosen and doesn't flinch when the world throws rocks. You didn't play to the crowd. You didn't shapeshift to be liked. You stayed real, even when real was lonely. And that's exactly why your name now lives rent-free in the minds of fans, haters, and everyone in between. So let them talk, let them speculate, let them build entire mythologies out of your movements, because whether they're hyping you, hating you, or just watching you from the shadows, they're all adding weight to your legacy. You're not just a person anymore. You're momentum. You're a shift. You're evidence that something real still exists in a world drowning in imitation. And the wildest part, you've only just begun. Number 6. Built from what was meant to break you. They said you were finished, but you were just getting forged. By now, you've probably heard stories about yourself that even you couldn't make up. People swear you were in 2 places at once. Others insist you've tapped into some secret knowledge or technique that gives you an edge the rest of the world can't reach. Some think you've made a deal with fate, or that you're walking with something otherworldly. The stories are wild, dramatic, cinematic, and deep down, a part of you almost starts to believe the myth. But let's pause for a second. None of this would be happening if you weren't worth talking about. You don't become the subject of legends unless your presence disturbs the ordinary. You don't get whispered about in rooms you've never entered unless your existence is threatening to the systems people cling to. The truth is, people would rather create fantasy than face reality, because the real story, it's too raw, too real, too earned. You weren't handed anything. You built this. You weren't just forged through fire. You became the fire. Every trial that was designed to break you ended up becoming the reason you rose. Every betrayal, every moment of silence, every setback, they didn't destroy you. They refined you. They taught you how to bleed without breaking, how to fall without staying down, how to move with silence so loud it haunted the ones who doubted you. That's what they'll never understand. You're not unbothered. You're unbreakable. They whispered behind your back that you wouldn't make it, that you'd burn out, disappear, give up, collapse under the weight of it all. They watched you lose things, lose people, lose sleep. And yet, you never lost yourself. You stayed solid. Even when the ground under you cracked, you stood tall. Even when it felt like no one saw the fight, you kept swinging. And that right there, that's what fuels the myth. Because no matter what they threw at you, you stayed standing. Bent? Maybe. Bruised? Definitely. But broken? Never. That's what separates the chosen from the crowd. The crowd folds when pressure hits. The crowd retreats when rumors start. The crowd doubts itself at the first sign of resistance. But you learned how to walk through chaos without becoming it, how to face storms with no umbrella, just faith. You were never meant to break. You were built to bend, to stretch, to evolve. That's the difference. And now that you're rising, they want to act like it was easy, like you just made it. But they don't see what it cost you. They didn't see the moments you questioned everything, including yourself. They didn't see how many nights you went to war with your own mind, just to wake up and try again. But that's the secret sauce, isn't it? You kept showing up, even when your name was slandered, even when you were misunderstood, even when the enemy had a head start and a cheering crowd. You didn't need applause to be powerful. You didn't need validation to be valuable. You were chosen. So the universe had your back when nobody else did. That's why the stories keep growing. That's why the myth lives on. Not because you chased attention, but because you refused to fold under it. They want to know how you keep bouncing back, how you keep leveling up with no obvious support, how you keep rising with your heart still intact. They want to know your method, your secret, your strategy. But the truth is, you didn't follow a blueprint. You became one. You're the example, the outlier, the one who wasn't supposed to be here, and yet here you are. Not just surviving, but shaking the whole foundation. Your resilience is terrifying, because if someone like you can make it through that, then what excuse do they have? And they'll never say it out loud, but some of the same people who doubted you are now drawing strength from your journey, watching from the shadows, trying to figure out how you didn't break when they designed the pressure to crush you. But that's what they get wrong. You weren't just built different. You were built by everything that was meant to destroy you. You turned the pain into fuel, the silence into strategy, the pressure into purpose. And that's why you're still here, still rising, still being talked about like a legend, because you're not a fluke. You're a force. They'll keep talking, keep speculating, keep spinning their stories, but deep down, they all know the truth. You weren't made to break. You were made to become. Number 7. They called you chosen, but you were the one who chose. They think you were picked by fate, but the truth is, you picked yourself the day you stopped waiting to be saved. You weren't crowned by committee. There was no grand ceremony, no open arms waiting to carry you toward greatness. There was only the storm, and your decision to walk through it anyway. People like to romanticize your rise. Now. They call you chosen, like some divine hand plucked you from obscurity and placed you on a pedestal. But the truth is far less glamorous and far more powerful. You chose yourself when no one clapped, when no one cared, when the silence was deafening and the weight was unbearable. You made a decision in the dark that the light had no choice but to honor. And that's what really haunts them. Not just that you win, but that you keep winning without their permission. They watched you get hit hard, knocked down by life, by betrayal, by failure. They saw you take losses that would have broken most people into pieces. And just when they started whispering that you were done, you rose again. Unshaken, unbothered, moving like someone who knew they couldn't lose, even when the scoreboard said otherwise. That's what disturbs them. Not your glow, but your grit. Not your blessings, but your bounce back. Every time they count you out, you come back harder. And they can't explain it. So they make up stories. They call you lucky. As if you stumbled into this life by accident. As if you didn't bleed for every step. As if you weren't ignored, doubted, laughed at, left out. They call you blessed because they need to believe something gave this to you. Because admitting that you built it with nothing but pain, silence, and stubborn faith, that would force them to take accountability for their own excuses. But the real ones know. They know you didn't wait to be discovered. You decided to be undeniable. You didn't wait for someone to tell you you're worthy. You acted like you were, and the world eventually caught up. While they waited for signs, for handouts, for a savior, You built yourself from scraps and dared to be legendary with nothing but willpower and clarity. And now, your name is its own algorithm. A tweet turns into gospel. A short clip becomes a movement. A casual mention of your name. It sparks reactions, engagement, conversation, speculation. You've become digital currency, emotional trigger, and energetic disruptor, all at once. Your influence spreads without even trying, because energy doesn't lie, and yours has never needed an introduction. But here's the part they'll never understand. You're not trying to be a brand. You're just living truth out loud. And truth has a way of shaking things up. You're not trending because you're performing. You're resonating because you exist in full authenticity. And that's rare. Rare makes noise. You became the blueprint while they were busy mocking your foundation. You made peace with solitude while they chased shallow crowds. And now, the same people who doubted you are watching you build momentum so massive, it moves without you even having to touch it. They look at your rise and think someone gave it to you. They don't realize you took it. You took the pain, took the lessons, took the rejection, and turned all of it into fuel. You alchemized suffering into strength, loneliness into clarity. You didn't wait to be called. You answered yourself. That's what being chosen really means. Not waiting for the tap on the shoulder, but becoming so powerful that the universe had no choice but to respond. So magnetic that blessings started chasing you down. So authentic that lies couldn't stick to you even when they tried. They didn't choose you. They couldn't. They wouldn't. You chose yourself, and that's why you're unstoppable. You rewrote the rules by refusing to follow theirs. And now they can't figure you out. You're too quiet to predict, too loud to ignore. You're not the underdog anymore. You're the main character. And the wildest part, you've only just begun. What they've seen is just the surface. What's coming, that's the part they're not ready for. So let them keep watching. Let them keep talking. Let them keep pretending like this happened overnight. Because you and the universe both know it didn't. It happened the moment you chose yourself. And now, the world has no choice but to choose you too. Number 8. You didn't chase the crown, but it found your head anyway. They made you a legend, but you gave them no script. Now, they're all watching a story they'll never understand. There's a moment when the shift happens, when your name stops being a name and becomes a symbol. When people who've never met you start speaking about you like they've known your soul for years. They repeat lines you never said. They interpret your silence as strategy. They add flair to your every move, twisting reality into myth because the truth is too raw for them to process. You never asked for it, but the internet made it official. You're legendary now. And once that happens, there's no rewind button, no hiding in the shadows. You can't unbecome the symbol people decided you were. Doors now open before you knock. Opportunities appear before you ask. People who once ignored your energy now scramble to align with it, not because you begged for their attention, but because your presence holds weight. You didn't send out signals, but the universe made sure your frequency traveled far. And yet, with all this recognition, with all the eyes, there comes a silent weight, a pressure that creeps in, not from within, but from the expectations of those who built their own versions of you in their minds. They sculpted statues out of assumptions, set standards you never agreed to, placed you on pedestals you never asked to climb. And now they stand below, looking up, not to admire, but to wait, to see if you'll fall, to see if you're really as unshakable as they say. But let's get this clear. You never promised perfection. You only promised to be real. And being real, that's what built the legend in the first place. Not a flawless performance, not some carefully curated image. It was your authenticity, your raw, unfiltered truth that made people listen. It was how you moved when no one believed in you, how you stood firm when everything told you to sit down. They didn't make you powerful. You were already powerful. They just finally noticed. So now you walk in rooms differently. Your silence speaks volumes. Your energy clears paths. And while people talk, theorize, even idolize, you stay grounded, because you know the truth behind the legend. You know the cost. You remember the lonely nights, the quiet pain, the private battles that had no audience. You remember when no one was clapping, when your name held no weight, when your voice echoed back to no one. That's the side they'll never write about, the truth behind the shine, the version of the story that doesn't fit into a tweet or a highlight reel. Because while they're busy trying to explain you, you're living what they'll never understand. That's the real flex, that you don't need to correct them, that you don't need to clear your name, prove your worth, or live up to the fantasy they've built around you. That's their version of you, not yours. Let them keep it. Let them talk. Let them speculate. You're not here to maintain their narrative. You're here to live your reality. And that reality, it's rooted in something deeper than fame or attention. You didn't chase this spotlight. It followed you. You didn't market yourself into legend status. You earned it through endurance, through resilience, through unwavering presence. They'll never understand how you stayed solid when the world tried to break you, how you stayed humble when the power kicked in, how you stayed grounded when your name started flying higher than you ever imagined. Because they didn't walk that path. They only watched it. But you lived it. So when the pressure of the myth gets heavy, remind yourself, this isn't weight, it's recognition. It's gravity pulling you into purpose. And if some people get uncomfortable with the power you carry, that's not your problem to fix. That's their mirror to face. Protect your peace. Not everyone who claps is a supporter. Not everyone drawn to your light comes with clean intentions. Some just want proximity. Others want to dim what they can't duplicate. Stay grounded. Stay clear. Stay you. Because the moment you stop being real just to stay legendary, you lose both. You never chased the crown. You just refused to bow. And in that refusal, the legend found you. Now that it's yours, own it, live it, breathe it, and let the world keep writing stories, while you keep writing truth. And now, if you've made it this far, you already know. This wasn't just a message, it was a mirror, a reminder, a wake-up call. You didn't stumble into this energy by accident. The whispers, the wait, the rise. It's all part of your path. You didn't become a legend because they believed in you. You became one because you believed in yourself when no one else did. Every scar, every rumor, every comeback has carved your name into something greater than fame, legacy. The myth wasn't created to contain you, it was created because they couldn't. So, own your power, protect your peace. Keep walking like the universe moves for you, because it does. If this message spoke to your soul, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop the number 77 in the comments to let the world know you've chosen yourself. And don't keep this energy to yourself. Share this with another chosen one who needs to remember who they are. The legend lives on, not because they said so, but because you decided it would. You're just getting started.